What's going on, guys? And in today's video, what we're going to be talking about is stolen candidates. So if you've ever been in a situation where one of your candidates has been stolen from a client, or you think that that's something that could happen to you in the future and you're not sure how to deal with that, then by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to deal with that to gain the most benefit for yourself and for your client and for your candidate. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about stolen candidates. Now, again, this is something that I've seen crop up quite a lot over the last few months that I've been working as a recruitment trainer, helping people to build their own recruitment businesses. A lot of them have this fear. Now, the reason why I really want to do this video is because a lot of people have this fear before even starting. So some people don't even have a recruitment business. This could be you. This could be you that I'm speaking to right now, that you don't have a recruitment business and you're terrified about what if a client steals a candidate from me. So there's a few ways to make sure that this doesn't happen, but obviously it still can happen and it's something that we should discuss. But firstly, it's definitely not a reason why anyone should not start their business. So if that is you, if you're worried about clients stealing your candidates, then that really shouldn't be a reason for you to not start your business. And one thing that I always say to people who tell me about this is, to get to the point that a client has stolen your candidate, you would have had to have done a lot of work. You would have had to have gone into that process very deep to get to that point, where they've stolen one of your clients. So, and you would have done a great job as well, because obviously it was the right candidate, right? So it's actually positives. I look at it as like a whole major bunch of positives if a client tries to take one of my candidates. For me personally, I just think, hey, I'm doing a good job. But I'm going to tell you how I save myself from losing out on the candidate and the fee, and I have always been able to recover and salvage these relationships as well. So the first thing that you want to focus on when it comes to your candidates is, obviously you want to make sure that you are minimizing the chances of that candidate being stolen. You don't want to live in this utopian world where you think that I've got a great relationship with this client, or you think, we work in a professional world and, we're dealing with professionals and, no professional is going to steal from me. I'm just a business owner and they're business people, so they're not going to steal from me, so I'll send it anyway. I try not to make things too fairy tale when it comes to business, because at the end of the day, this is business. And the reason that most people fear business is because business is and can be a dirty game. It doesn't need to be anymore in the 21st century, but traditionally that's what people tend to think of it as, because these things do happen, but I'd say they're the minority as well. If companies are dealing with you like this, they are the minority. But let's start off with making sure that it doesn't happen, right? So making sure that it doesn't happen, right? So what can you do? Very simple. You take off the candidate details. So you take off the candidate name. The name you take off. You want to take off their contact details. You want to take off their contact details. Now, these are generally the things, if they've got like a picture as well, take off a picture. A lot of candidates, especially the really strong candidates in technical industries, for example, in IT development or in engineering or technology, etc. A lot of candidates will have, for example, published papers. So they'll have published papers, or one of my candidates last year had YouTube videos. Content URLs, right? So if they've got anything like that, then I'd remove it. If they're very good, their CV should speak volume. Their current company, their previous companies, their educational background, etc., should speak enough volume without you needing to keep this stuff on. And then what I would do is I would just tell the client that I would tell them for these two things, especially if there are, things like that, because these are great things. If you've got a like an engineering manager, and they're looking to hire a team lead developer, and their team lead developer is making content about developing in this language, you know that this is a passionate person, you know that they're an authority within this technology, you know that they're someone who their reputation is also staked in doing a good job as well. So it's really, really good to make sure that if a candidate has this stuff, that you let the client know that you can send that stuff to them. So you can say to them that they have these published papers, and they've got some YouTube videos as well that we can send through to you. But just let them know that you can only send it to them as if they ask for those, then they're bound to your T's and C's, right? So you can say that as well. If they ask you for, can you send us the information that the YouTube videos that you said that they had, because the CV looks good. That's a request of information that bounds them to your T's and C's. Just remind them of that as well. Just say, look, by asking for this information, do you confirm that you agree to our terms and conditions? If they say no, okay, why? What don't you agree with? You can negotiate. Or if they say no, we don't use recruiters, then you can say, well, okay, I'm not going to send this thing to you then. You can just put it quite simply like that. Obviously, we can have a whole discussion about that if they don't use recruiters, but again, that's not the point of this video. So first, you want to make sure that they don't have these things, right? So you want to take these things off. You want to take away their candidate name. You want to take away their contact details. You want to take away any identifiable information like a picture, published blogs or published papers, or any video content that they have, any lectures and talks that they've given. And you want to get rid of all those things. And you just want to send the skills. That's what they're looking for, skills and the companies. Some people I know take off the last company as well, if it's a small company and there's only a few people in that company. But then, again, look, you have to realize that the people that you're sending these CVs to are not recruiters. They don't think like you. They're not businessmen or entrepreneurs either. They don't think like you. They just want to get their job done as best as possible. Part of their job is recruitment and hiring and building a team. That's where you can help them. If you can help them and you can do it well, then they'll come back to you again. So, just understand that as well. But you want to make sure that you take those details off, keep the company, keep the skills on it, and send the CV. If they request any information, then just remind them that they're bound to the T's and C's if they go forward with this candidate. But again, now we want to talk about, let's say, for example, we've gone through that process and then the client says, we don't want to pay, all right? We won't pay. We won't pay, right? So if they get to this point and they say, look, we won't pay, then, it's very, very simple for you to just say, look, we have this email here, we have this email here, and we have this email here. This email is where we sent you the CVs. This is the email here where you requested the information. This is where we set up the interview. Maybe you didn't get that far setting up the interview. Maybe they stole them here, right? But that is enough for you to be able to have this fee from the client if they would hire them. This email here, any request of information is what it's called. Request of information. So just make sure that if a client does ask you about a candidate, you want to be very, very sure to get that in writing, to let them know that you don't even need to say, okay, you're bound to our T's and C's. You just have to get them to ask you via email, right? So just tell them, can you, if you're on the phone to them and they say, look, we really like this CV, this CV, this CV, right? They're naming the file name of the CV. That's how I do it. I have a file name, and on the cover sheet I have a candidate ID, which is correlating to the file name. And so they'll say, hey, look, CV 23456 and CV 6221. We really like these two CVs. We like to interview them. I'm not just going to book the interview like, hey, here you go, by the way, here's the guys' names and they're booked in for you. I'm going to say to them, oh, great, that's absolutely fine. Can you just drop me an email to confirm that? And then I'll make sure to have them booked in. That's all you need to do. You don't need to make a big deal and say, hey, listen, buddy, you need to send that to me in writing so that you can't fuck me over, right? You don't want to talk like that, right? You just want to say to them, great, fantastic. Do you mind sending me an email to confirm that? and I'll have those booked in for you straight away. Very simple. It's very rare for anybody to say, no, I'm not going to send that to you in writing via email. They might forget, for example, so if they put the phone down, you haven't got the email within half an hour or so, just drop them a message, say, hey, could you just confirm which candidates you want me to book in for interviews and what times, right? So it's just something like that, and then you can make sure that you've got that in writing, and that's what counts, right? So that's what matters. If you've got that request of information, they're bound to your T's and C's, but that is, of course, if you've sent your T's and C's as well. So that's the other thing. Now, not many people do this, but I actually send out my terms and conditions whenever I send out a CV to my clients. And that just kind of ties everything together so that if they've received an email and it's got a CV, and then T's and C's, and they've responded to that email to say, hey, we want to see these 2 CVs for interview, right? I can still, on that same chain, say, can you confirm? So can you confirm that? And then it just ties it in a bit more where, you can prove to say, look, you actually saw the CVs, so how can you tell me you didn't see the T's and C's, right? And we're not trying to be sneaky. We're just attaching it so that it's there and safe. Businesses know when they deal with recruiters that they have to pay recruiters, right? Which service do you use in your daily life which is free, right? Where you're hiring someone. If you hire a maid, you're hiring them, to do a service in your house, to clean your house. You're not going to just, oh, I'm not paying you now, right? That's theft. So it's the same way with clients as well. If you've got this traceability, is what it's called. If you've got that traceability, then you'll be safe. You'll be fine. There have been situations where I've sent a candidate and then I've had the client say to me after they've requested for an interview that actually we had this person through our internal team. You can still say, look, we had the request of interview first, right? So we booked the interview with them, not you, right? That's a real scenario that I had where a client asked for a candidate for an interview. I booked the interview in. A few days later, I got an email from the internal recruiter saying to me that, please don't talk to this candidate anymore. He's our candidate. We have ownership over them. We actually sent the candidate to the hiring manager first. And my simple response to that was, can you prove to me, can you show me where your manager asked you to book that interview? Because I've got that email and I've booked it on the times that he said he was available. So he's asked me for that interview, actually, not you. And what that means, actually, is that that internal recruiter doesn't have as good a rapport or relationship with that hiring manager as I did. Right? I had a better relationship with them. I gave more focus on and attention to this one manager than she did. And fair enough, she has to deal with 10 other managers, 20 other managers, 30 other managers within this organization. And I just need to deal with one of them. But that allows me to have a better relationship. That allows me to be quicker and respond quicker and faster. And that's why he wanted to use me. So I was able to then keep that because I had the relationship with the hiring manager. And even though it cost the company about £7,500 to pay me when they could have fought this case. And to be honest, it was a big enough company for me to not want to fight the business. I just wanted to make a long-term relationship with them. I would have given them the candidate, but the client was honest and he said, no, I didn't see the CV there. I saw the CV here, and this candidate belongs to me, to Hassan. But that was a conversation that I had with the internal recruiters first, and then we brought in the hiring manager to kind of mediate that. So those are some scenarios. And like I said, the last scenario that you could probably come across, that I've come across, is when, for example, it's getting a bit heated now. So it might not be heated with the hiring manager, it's heated with the HR, because the HR get really, really pissy if a recruiter's done their job for them, right? So if I've done something that they should have done and they didn't deliver and I've delivered, then obviously they're going to get very, very pissy about that. So it does happen where they get very annoyed and agitated. And just remember that, as long as your relationship with the hiring manager is solid, that's the main thing. The other last thing that I would just add to that as well is I had one client who I had a great relationship with. Then they hired my candidate. The candidate started, but when the candidate started, the hiring manager quit. So now I had to go through HR to get paid, and HR said, you know, they just kept giving me X, Y, and Z excuses. Oh, you know, we need to look at what he's done. We might not keep this candidate. And then they said stuff like, you know, we're just a bit busy sorting out all of the paperwork because he did a lot of hiring, and you know, we just need to sort X, Y, and Z out. And anyway, they were just making a lot of excuses for about 3 months. All right, so for about 3 months, I was very, very cordial with them. You know, fortunately, I had quite a lot of work on anyway, so I wasn't necessarily desperate for it, but you know, I just gave them the benefit of the doubt because it was a company that I wanted to work with moving forward. It was actually really local to where I lived as well. So I just thought, you know, it's a good company, it's a big size company. They're going to hire 3-4 engineers every single year. 3-4 engineers every single year means about, you know, 30-40 grand from this one client, which is literally around the corner from me. I can go see the client, I can go see the candidates quite easily. So I stuck with them for a while. And then it just got a bit too much for me, and then I just emailed them saying, look, you've got by the end of this week. It was a Monday, and I just decided, look, I've had enough now. I think it was around about £6,500 was this deal. It was a couple of years ago now, and I just emailed them on a Monday, say, look, you've got to the end of the week to pay. If you don't pay by the end of the week, then I will pass on the details to my solicitors, who will be in contact with you, and you'll be liable to pay 40% of the salary rather than the 20% that I had agreed with the manager, and I, you know, honored this whole way through. And that's because in my terms and conditions, it says that the client has 14 days to pay, and if they don't pay within 14 days, then any agreed rate is null and void, and a rate of 40% of first year salary will be implemented. So that was bound in my T's and C's. They were bound to my T's and C's. I sent the T's and C's again with attachments of the email, so all the traceability, etc. So I made it quite a comprehensive email, sent it to the HR, and told them that, you know, my solicitors will get involved. They still didn't come back to me. So then on the Friday, this is a bit weird. I can't believe I did this, but you know, for £6,500, you got to do what you got to do, right? So I actually thought, look, let me just. I didn't have solicitors at this point, right? This was quite early on into my business journey as a business owner. But what I did was I just made a new email, and it sounded like a law firm, and I just sent them an email saying, we've been contacted by our client Ehsan Khan of such and such company with this matter. And I made it look like a very professional email, and I kid you not, within 15 minutes, I saw the money come into my bank account. I got an email from the HR saying, hey, look, we've paid already. You know, why have you sent our solicitor? You know, they're getting a bit nasty with me now. Like, why have you sent your solicitor? We've already paid you. Have not received it yet. So yeah. So there are times where people try it. Ultimately, if you've got that traceability, then that should never happen to you. So if you benefited from this video, make sure that you like, make sure that you comment, make sure that you share, and subscribe. And I want you to comment down below the word of the day. If you've made it to this part of the video, I want to know who you are. So leave the comment below with the word vegan. So leave the word vegan down below, so that will let me know who has watched this video all the way to the end. Cheers.